Energy made this one.
Yeah. Peace and life.
That's right.
From the very beginning, the first sound is the beat of the heart. The sound of life is only right. Let the beat is the start. We embark on a life of making memories of sounds. In our mind, when we find we can make it with mind.
And recording it, man. That's what Pac told the engineer. Man, you ain't got too many more my bads. Right. He's finna. That's when I think Pac may have been the first artist to beat up an engineer. I could be wrong, but I know he used to beat his engineers up.
That is the main reason why I never wanted any of the producers that I managed to be an engineer. Like the way that Scarface described that, man, Tupac being the first, he couldn't have been the first because I was engineering back then. And when I tell you that some people talk to engineers like they trash, man, but I know some real street type engineers that you know, people know not to play with. Engineers, for the most part, they quote unquote nerds, you know, not all the time, but generally they tech guys. They love technology. They love it, man. You go in the studio, generally a lot of them guys, they just want to get the music done, recorded, mixed, mastered, and they passionate about it. That's it. You know, they don't care for the scene of what goes on in the studio.
It's smoking, drinking, 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 smoking, drinking.
They care not. They actually don't care at all. Most of them don't. You know, they don't participate. They don't partake. They be level-headed. So, you know, a lot of the false narrative that a lot of these guys are soft, you know, a lot of times back in my day anyway, it'd be too late before artists find out. Nah, this guy probably more gangster than anybody in the room. He just loved his craft. So, but yeah, I always advised the producers I work with, especially starting with Energy, my son, to never engineer, because I noticed most recently, you know, since like maybe the last 10 years with this younger generation, they was like totally disrespecting the engineers.
Hey, can we do it on your mama's couch?
Yeah, can we do it in your son?
What I say? Man, what the nigga, run that shit back. Why you cutting my shit off? Let's get it. Run that shit back. Don't disrespect me.
You know, and I think partly, you know, more so now because a lot of artists have their own studios. So when they go to the studio, they watching what the engineer doing because they know how to do it. A lot of artists are very knowledgeable about engineering their own selves. You know, you got artists like NBA Youngboy, Rio the Young OG, YSR Grams, Crispy Like Kid, Grindhard E. All our artists in Flint know how to engineer themselves.
I just caught the crib up in the hills, nigga. Still remember them days on the block, rockin' hill figure. I guess when you boss up, you just wanna floss.
Trust. They all do. They can jump on there, 3200 tray. They can jump right on there, man. You know, I've noticed a lot of the Detroit artists do the same thing. Babyface Ray, a lot of the artists, I didn't watch them. You know, Band Gang, Lonnie, I watched him engineer. So a lot of artists engineer at least record themselves. You know, engineering and recording, two different things. But to at least be able to get the recording process down and to have a dope template, from you know, a reputable engineer, that's all a lot of artists really need anyway. So, you know, to get that nice rough mix down, man, you know, just knowing how to hit the right buttons on Pro Tools, man, you know, that's you know, that's what a lot of artists, so when a lot of artists go into other studios that they paying for, you know, they be kind of hard on, especially when they out of town. You know, when the rates is way up, and then the engineers quote unquote bullshitting. You're gonna have artists that really know what they doing get on these engineers. You know, it just, like I said, it just be some engineers ain't going. You know what I'm saying? They not going. Some engineers ain't going. You know what I'm saying? They not going. So, you know, I don't know. It's just weird, man, to hear Scarface talk about Pac in that way. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie, because I'm from that era. I always had a vision. And see, if you from that era, you know it was about at least 2 different Tupacs. So the Tupac before Death Row, that was definitely one.
There's no way I can pay you back, but the plan is to show you that I understand. You all appreciate it.
Don't you know we love you, sweet
Dear mama.
lady.
The Tupac after Death Row.
That's how Tupac was walking through the motherfucking thing like.
First off,
Your bitch in the clique you claim. West side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I f*** your wife.
Tupacs that most people would reference. Then you may have the Juice Tupac.
Crazy, man. You know what? When you said that last time, I was kind of tripping, right? But now, you're right. I am crazy. But you know what else? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about Steel. And I don't give a fuck about Raheem either. I don't give a fuck about myself. Look, I ain't never gonna.
You know what I'm saying? After the movie Juice Tupac, Bishop, you know what I mean? And that's a whole nother version. But the Tupac that, you know, the most prominent, the one that most everybody gonna remember in today's time is the Death Row Tupac. And that version of Tupac, I always thought to myself, like, I don't like this version of Pac. I don't think me and this version would get along. But the pre-Death Row version, the Me Against the World version of Pac, I thought we would get along very well. But either way, you know, Tupac a Gemini, so, you know, you're going to always have that dual, that 2 personality. Either way, just hearing that story, I kind of felt that's what that version of Tupac was on, man. You know, it didn't surprise me to hear that he would talk crazy to the engineers, you know what I'm saying, like that. It didn't surprise me at all. I kind of always seen that version of Pac, you know, behaving like that. But yeah, man, this and to any like diehard like producer that just strictly produce, I will advise you, it just depends on what you looking for, what you looking to do with your career. If you really passionate about just, you know, getting your name out there as a producer, and just your sound and everything, I wouldn't even think about engineering starting off. You know, as you build your brand and everything, and everybody pretty much know you, I would say start there with the engineering. You know, if you develop a passion for it, most definitely go into it. It's most definitely like a cheat code to getting placements, though. Most definitely a cheat code to getting you some dope placements if you develop a real passion for engineering and you still got the passion for producing. It's definitely I wouldn't even say a cheat code. It's just natural. You know, if the producer can engineer too, and if he good at both, it's just a natural thing that artists want to deal with. Because in my era, the producer naturally was an engineer too. It was just like a dual, you know, they did them both.
Chairman Happy Sativa after the session. Poet with a Dutch, the master collection. DMC Stetson hat with a Mac on my press. I'm on my Queens and Y. That Daryl Mack impression. Counting stacks in a 70s.
You know what I'm saying? So, but in today's climate, like I was mentioning, with the artists being very knowledgeable about engineering their own shit and being real critical of engineers, and then you mix in the drugs and, you know, the scene that goes on in the studio, it can turn violent. It could possibly turn violent, you know what I'm saying, with a certain type of engineer with a certain personality, you know, that like I said, he not going. It could just be the worst thing. And I don't know, just speaking for me, I just don't like to see people talking to people any kind of way. I just don't like to see that. I don't like to see bullies. I don't like bullies. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't want to see any of the people that I manage getting bullied. But back to what I'm saying, like, if you, just depends on like your career, like your brand, like, you know, if you know, your brand name is up there and you really feel comfortable in them scenes as a producer, engineering these artists, it just depends, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it just depends, you know, case by case basis. But that's my take on that, man. Pac, you know, most definitely was a wild one. I love to hear them stories, man, especially them Pac stories from artists like Scarface, man. Scarface, shout out Scarface, one of my biggest influences as a man, you know what I'm saying, more than music, as a person, you know what I'm saying. And Pac, most definitely my GOAT, man, one of my GOATs of all time, like for real GOAT. Y'all play with that, but Pac was or is the GOAT, you know what I'm saying, period. You know, in my case anyway, in my book. But yeah, man, look, like, share, subscribe, more on the way. I know I ain't been posting a lot, but I got more on the way. I just wanna, you know what I'm saying? I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm doing too, but I just wanna tap in with relevant stuff, man, not just anything, you know what I'm saying? I wanna give y'all a nice, you know what I'm saying, nice breath, you know what I'm saying, when I speak on anything. So that's why you're not gonna see me on here every day, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, hopefully I can start doing them once a week. Y'all let me know in the comments, y'all want more of this kind of content, you know what I'm saying? Like basically producer stories, you know. I'm about to start interviewing all the producers that I manage. For one, Energy, starting with Energy, Sav, JR808, all the producers that I manage, and then go from there. You know what I'm saying? But producer stories, especially from my era, I want to start tapping more with our, like, with Michigan, the Midwest producers from my era, you know what I'm saying? Producers that y'all might not have heard of, you know, shining some light on them, you know what I mean? And giving them their props, man. I was influenced by a wide range of producers from my era, and from Flint, Detroit, you know, and all over. So I want to shine a light on them producers, you know what I'm saying, too, that y'all might not have heard of, but that's responsible for a lot of influential music from my era, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that right now. One. Beats and life, baby.
Energy made this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Beats and life. That's right. From the very beginning, the first sound is the beat of the heart. The sound of life is only right. Let the beat is the start. We embark on a life of making memories and sounds. In our mind, when we find we can make it with mind.